Hang on.
Hit the record button.
Cat's not liking it.
What's for dinner? The cat. I don't think the cat's going to be for dinner somehow.
What was for dinner? Fish and roast veg.
Okay.
Like kind of like peppers, roast peppers and onions and that kind of roast veg, not roast potatoes.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it was pretty good actually.
I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes for people to filter in because the
I
numbers
think
seem to be going back up.
that is a very good idea. Well, they miss our dulcet tones, don't they?
If you say so. Does anybody miss dulcet tones?
Well, I've no idea who Dulcet Tones is, but maybe I should change my name.
We've been through this. It wouldn't be the same. A Blessing of the Cheesemakers. That's a good film. Life of Brian? It is. Life of Brian.
Yes, it is indeed the life of Brian. Brian!
He's been a very naughty boy.
Very naughty, naughty boy.
It's not as good as the Holy Grail, but it's still very good.
A book I'm listening to at the moment, there's an artificial intelligence in it who has consumed the entire Monty Python catalogue and based its personality off of John Cleese. It's quite hilarious.
That gif gets me every time. It's almost like they've just wrung out the ferret.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they cut away there, though.
Yeah, they did.
The clue is in the head, otherwise it'd be very believable. We've already got a one. Oh, 40 Towers, also classic. I think we're good to go, aren't we, really? Are you good to go?
I think so.
Yeah, you're all ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so the purpose of tonight, then, was to let everybody know where we're at, what's going on, and to start to discuss what quality of life changes are going to be coming. Big topic of discussion is going to be cryopods, which are now workable but come with several kind of positives and negatives. So it's kind of
Oh, yes.
it's the kind of gauge some reaction are cryo sickness is the thing. So that's kind of part and parcel of some of the stuff we wanted to run through, as well as to go over questions about things like stack sizes, rates, how we would like to deal with rates going forward and all that sort of stuff. So where would we like to start?
Well, I think the most important thing, something that we were discussing earlier, is we give you like a top line summary of everything that's happening in like the first 5 minutes. And then we go into more detail after that.
Okay.
So shall I just rattle through the entire list and let people know what we're going to be discussing this evening?
Yes, so rattle through the list, and then while people are processing that, I made a promise earlier on, which we're going to keep, and then we can move on to discussing the points.
Okay, so for ASA first,
Yep.
we have purchased and had delivery of a new physical server that will be dedicated to just the ASA servers.
Woohoo.
128 gigs of RAM on it, couple of rated NVMe drives, and yeah, ASA servers will be moving to that. Narni has been working hard to put that together. Not going to go in much more detail. Cryopods, yes, we'll be discussing that.
Yeah,
We'll run through the pros and cons of them in a bit of detail later. As Nani said, the rates for the server,
yeah.
we'll be discussing that. Spawn prevention radius. Then moving on to ASE, update on raidable bases. And I have a feeling that is it. We haven't mentioned anything else, I don't think.
There's definitely enough to be chewing on with there.
Yes. So
So,
you had something.
yes, just to recap, Abby has been asking over and over, are we just dealing with ASA tonight? I said, well, what's on your mind? So the question brought up was raidable bases. So
Oh yeah.
just an overview on where we're at with that and how close we are and what we can promise on the raidable basis side of things.
So raidable bases. I've built the interface for the website that will allow you to go to the website, click a button, it will spawn the base, and job's good. I've got to finish work on the button on that page that will give you access to the event server because we'll remove it from Discord.
Yeah.
And by launching the raidable bases through the websites, it will take away the issues we had with tame limits and not being able to deploy dinos, which is the biggest problem. You spawn a raidable base, you can't put any of your own dinos out. Spawn two raidable bases, you definitely can't put any dinos out. So by doing it through the interface on the website, that's getting around that problem. Alongside that, server or player list for ASA is coming very shortly as well. As soon as we move over to the new server, we'll have a channel for the ASA servers and it'll tell you whether they're up, down, and how many players are on each. Been testing that today. And rather than wait for somebody else to build it for us, we just built it ourselves over the last couple of days.
So the summarization of that then, there is one button left to go. We're going to move the whole raidable base summoning type thing to the website. And the reason this is taking so long is it's to get around the fact that if we spawn it in game like we do with the world bosses, you get dinosaur capped for some reason. So that's to get around this problem. So soon, I would say, on a raidable basis.
Yeah. I mean, it's taken so long because we've had to have the website interface with the game, know how many points you've got, know what your permissions are, know how long you've got left on your timer, know about the kits and how to redeem them and all that kind of bollocks.
Yeah.
So,
And then in the middle of all that, ASA dropped, and people are clamoring for that as well. So it's just a case purely of hours in the day now, and we're close. So,
I was just going to say the server that we've bought,
yeah,
that will probably comfortably host 4 heavily populated ASA maps, FYI, with 128 gigs of RAM on it. After that, the memory starts running out before we run out of processors type approach. So we went for a server with less processors but more RAM because there's no point in having 24 cores on a server when you can only effectively utilize half of that because you've run out of memory already. So once Scorched Earth has launched, we'll be probably looking for another server. Should be what, January, December. Yay!
yeah. Scorch should have been what, December? So what did they say?
Yeah,
Maps iterations of every 2 to 3 months.
something like that.
Yeah,
I would suggest it's going to be more once every quarter,
yeah, yeah.
but we'll see. They're not under pressure at the moment.
Too right, Quasi. It gets expensive really fast. It really does.
Mm.
So yeah, new server. Hopefully that gets put into place tomorrow. And we should have significantly less issues. It will have its own processing power. Things will be very, very good. and we will look at sorting out the ping as well. Things should improve there for the supporter server. Believe I know what's causing that, so there'll be a little bit of extended downtime tomorrow, I think, but it's going to be well worth it. And at the end of the day, it ends up with its own box. It's going to be cool.
Well, extended for ASA, I think.
Yes. To be fair, if everything goes all sweet as a nut, which it should do, it shouldn't actually be that bad. Hopefully all the prep work's done. I've been over that twice now, but, you know, things happen. So let's start digging into the nitty-gritty then of some of the things we've just talked about. So let's start with the one that everyone's been asking about. Let's start with rates. So the 1x rates that we've got at the moment, I've been playing for a couple of days now. Honestly, I quite like it. But people are obviously asking for higher rates. They're used to the ASE servers. So we decided we would approach this slightly differently. Rather than just permanently raising the rates, we were discussing the idea of having like weekend events. So we can change the rates and have kind of different kinds of, I suppose we could do all sorts of things, couldn't we? Like the same as Wildcard do. So we can have like breeding days and we can have gathering days, all that sort of stuff.
Indeed.
They've got a very funky way of being able to change the rates now without having to reboot the servers too. So once we've got that all tested and know that's working, yeah, totally. We could if there's a rate we can change, we can have a weekend for that, and we can make an event of it.
So what that means is the events that start getting pushed out in the events channel and in the events at the top of Discord, we'll schedule a whole bunch of stuff in. We'll make it automated. So yes, you could have fishing days. You could have I don't know, increased harvesting metal day or that kind of thing. Where for a weekend you get insane amounts of metal or insane amounts of obsidian, or you could have, meat run day or something like that. So yeah, we will be flexible. We will put together some ideas and schedule it all in, and then people will know when they're coming. They can be online, they can do their runs and stuff and really stock up. So I kind of like that idea. It meets us in the middle. There's a whole bunch of players who enjoy the way it is now. There's a whole bunch of players who are not used to it and have probably never played on a server that is at one times. So it's a bit of a shock to the system. So we got both sides of the coin to cater for. So yeah, we'll play with that and see how it plays out. But first priority is moving the servers onto our new hardware, and then we can look at the fun stuff. What's next? Topic number 2. Stacks. Ooh. So stacks, I think Narni will have some thoughts on this as well, and it's something that we've been mulling over quite a lot. I was thinking stacks for storage of normal resources, which is what everybody's fed back on in ASA feedback, stuff like wood, stone, obsidian, that kind of stuff. I personally don't see a problem with massively increasing that to increase your storage capacity, and then you can split it however you want. However, the stuff that is intentionally single stacked because it's supposed to decay quickly and it's supposed to be something you utilize in a pinch, then maybe not so much. So unless Nani's got objections, I want to do the primary resource stacks just for convenience. Get that done straight away so people can improve their storage. And then we'll... Yeah, honey is annoying if you go fishing. And I was talking to Nani about this the other day. The problem when you put increased stacks on stuff that's intentionally lower stacked is the spoiling rates go down. So if you have 10 stacks of meat versus 1 stack, the 1 stack will decay much slower than the 10 because you're not losing 10 at a time, obviously. So I think as a good compromise, let's sort the stacks on the resources that don't decay first. You know what I mean? So you would, thatch, fiber, stone, obsidian, crystal, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we can stack those to the ceiling. And then we start approaching things like prime, honey, kibbles. They can stack quite highly, I think. But you get the picture. I'm guessing Nani's not on because fireworks going off here. And it's mental, and
I
Fred's
was
probably
strangely, I thought I heard a rough in the background, and I can hear popping because I've got noise cancelling headphones on. I was actually just trying to work out whether the fireworks were here or there. So they're there.
they're
Okay.
here. They're here.
The
They're here.
half deafness doesn't help, and I'm just staring into space like, where's that noise coming from? My input on stacks would be wood, thatch, fiberstone, etc., etc. Yeah, increase them a little bit, no problem.
Well,
What I don't want us to do is ruin things like prime meat. Honey's been mentioned, fishing's been mentioned. I hadn't thought about the fishing, so I'm open for some discussion on fishing. But prime meat and things like that need to stay very low on stack. No more than 2 or 3. Because they should be something that you sort of get in a pinch, like you say, and you get out there, and mutton is much the same.
I mean, what we could maybe do is, where does cooked prime and cooked mutton sit in terms of like taming effectiveness compared to raw prime and raw meat? I always thought that, yeah, that's what I thought. Raw is better in all cases than anything cooked. Just let's confirm that. So what I was kind of thinking is the stack sizes for the non-perishable resources is kind of irrelevant. It doesn't matter if you stack in fact, it's better for us if they're stacked up in like 10,000 per stack, because moving 10 stacks of 1,000 is much more intensive than moving one stack of 10,000. So I'm kind of open for large stack sizes on non-perishable resources. Yeah, that's what I thought. Cooked prime is better than raw meat. That's why I was asking. So I'm kind of inclined to not mess with the stack sizes on that. But anyway, we'll approach that separately. Large stacks on non-perishable resources. As soon as I finished setting up the player list and our new bot we've built for Discord to enable us to control the servers through Discord, for the server move tomorrow, then I'll start messing with stack sizes. So may be able to get that in for tomorrow. I don't know. It depends. It's going to be busy tomorrow. So no promises there. The other thing I wanted to talk about was respawn suppression radius. Now we started off with what we've got it set on ASE, and we've been pushing it out gradually since we launched. Observations from several players say it's now at a couple of foundations away from a foundation that stuff will start respawning. Are we seeing that?
Yes.
Or is it spawning inside people's foundations still? It's better, but is it in the right spot?
I actually pulled the grass out of the walls of our house the other night, and it hasn't come back. Based on what is spawning, I would say yes, you're probably right about a couple of foundations. I still think it needs to be a little bit more, personally, but it is going to be kind of circumstantial and what people prefer.
Okay, I'm kind of on the same thing here. If you build a base and you've got a bit of open space in between you and your outer wall, it would be nice if crap didn't respawn there. Some people like the fact that they get the resources. But we'll try another slight increase. Nothing massive. Maybe see if we can push it out by another foundation. Just give people a tiny bit more clear space around their doors and shit like that.
Give Bobette the
Definitely.
tickle checking a bit of like a breathing room. He goes on hoovering
Okay,
duty every single day.
So we won't mess with that too much. Maybe just like try and tiny bit further, but nothing major, like a foundation or something like that, because a couple of people have mentioned it to me. Okay, so we've done rates, we've done spawn prevention radius, we've done stack sizes and what we're going to do with that. So I think Cryopod's next.
Yep.
So I'll give you the lowdown on this. I'll run through the current issues and tell you what is being fixed. Let me just check to see if there's been an update for it.
This is some good news with a few caveats.
Okay.
And a big wild card kind of roulette situation. But sounds
okay. So the first issue that a fix is currently being worked on, I'll run through the issues with the mod first, and then I'll run through the wildcard problems with the base game.
Yeah.
So the first issue, and there is a fix incoming, and I know the developer's working on this, and I know he has the fix done, but his mod is also for single player. He's multiplayer minded, so he's having problems getting it to work in single player and multiplayer. Because of the time it takes to deploy updates to the mods through CurseForge, he's wants to do it in one go. So the mating timer. Whenever you throw a dino out from a cryopod, the mating timer is reset to maximum. That's not ideal, but we can live with that. Therazinos, moss chops, anything that has harvesting levels. When you deploy one of those dinos from a cryopod, it loses all its harvesting levels. Not like, just kind of get unassigned. They disappear entirely. There is a fix for that. He has fixed it on multiplayer. He's got to fix it in single player and test it and then deploy it. Dino paint. If you paint your dino by hand, throwing it out of a cryopod will wipe the paint on the dino. Not the region colouring through mutations, hand painted stuff. That's been a problem forever. It's been a problem with ASE. That is not getting fixed. The neutered state. So if you have a dino, you've neutered it and you've sold it to another player, at the moment they put it in a cryopod, they throw it back out, and magically it can reproduce again. It's grown all its bits back. So that is one of the main reasons we're not deploying it. But the biggest reason at the moment, there is a base game bug. Yeah, like that one. It is possible for you to lose items in your inventory by transferring large stacks from one box to another. The items seem to move. They don't actually disappear. Well, they disappear from the source box. They appear in the target box, and there's a phantom item left in the source box. Server restarts, your items disappear altogether. That's a base game bug. But people who are using cryopods have reported it happening as well. So yeah, that's the biggie. So here's the question: how many people have lost resources due to moving them from one box to another while playing ASA? I was just thinking that you might notice if it's your perfectly bred Rex. I lost saddles by moving from dino, but not resources. Yeah. Okay, so it is a thing. Stuff does go missing. So the question is, once the next release for Cryopods comes out and he's fixed all the bugs with the mod, do you want us to deploy the mod to the server, knowing that there's a chance you could lose your prized dino? And there is no recovery. Yeah, they're fully aware of it. They are working on a fix. I think that kind of speaks for itself, really.
But what I would like to get across, though, is we are looking at it, we're up to date with it, and as soon as it becomes viable to do so, then cryos will be a thing.
Yeah, we've totally on board with cryopods. They must come as quickly as possible.
For those that keep
However,
asking, are there going to be boss drops? I would obviously prefer they wouldn't be. It gives a lot of people more options on what they have out in their base, the space they use. Things like your growing babies imprints, you can cryo them up, you can wait. So they impact the game massively. So I don't kind of want to lock them behind a boss.
yeah, we'll put them in the appropriate place. One thing I do want to try and do though is cryo sickness timer will be configurable in length. I would like to leave some element of cryo sickness on them so people can't be using them to run into a cave, get into trouble, quickly deploy a billion dinos and stomp it. But at the same time, when you're deploying dinos in your base, it's a pain in the ass. You just want to throw out a dino to use or do something with, and then you've got to wait like, I don't know, minute, long time. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about, okay? It's like 1 minute or something like that. Well, yeah, exactly. 1 minute, 30 seconds, something like that. It's to stop you.
It's to stop the instant win syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You have nothing to lose. You can just dump something with overwhelming firepower and, a quarter of a second and boom, the fight's over.
Yeah, you can do that if you want. If you can find a spot where you can deploy them without getting yeeted, but who knows? Yes, we can configure how long they have cryo sickness, which is why we were talking about the timing for it. I think it's a bit overbearing as normal, but yeah, that's it, Lottie. ASE is too freaking easy. Yeah, but how do you propose we get around that? I understand why the mechanic is on there. How long your dino is asleep on the floor for?
That's actually a good point there, Quasi. I mean, cryo sickness is the front load of the problem. It's the ability to just bam, instantly overpower something. But cryoing dinos before they die as well is also a good point.
You bear in mind though that the range on the cryopods is fairly small
Yeah, there's no gun.
and no gun. So you've got to be up in your dino's asshole or face and
And the
cryo it
next
up.
thing chomped. Yes.
If you're on a PvP server, I keep it. So that's the thing, though. We're not on a PvP server, so a lot of the challenge is removed. We're on a PvE server where, as it is, there is very little repercussion for death. So you start removing the risk. What little risk there is left, then you've removed the challenge, you've removed the resource drain, and you remove the need for realistically wanting to carry on. Mm. Yeah, I get it. Lots of people with lots of different ideas. Thematically speaking, though, cryosickness makes a lot of sense. You've been frozen in a ball, you wouldn't be up and running in 2 seconds. I mean, shit, it takes me half an hour to wake up in the morning, and that's with coffee. Can we get an euthanasia gun?
Gotta walk all the old mutations off a cliff.
Isn't there a way of killing dinos these days? Pretty sure there must be. Obviously, sheep you can kill. You just hold a sword and slaughter.
It does take
Hang
a
on,
while.
can't you just eat them? That's a shame.
We were discussing this morning, weren't we? It does take a fair while to get a dinosaur killed now. Unless, of course, you don't want the dinosaur to be killed. In that case, it gets killed pretty damn fast.
So I suppose what you're all saying is you want a tool, a gun that will allow you to sacrifice your dinos. So I want a gun to kill my dinos. Can't you make a shotgun? Yeah, or a sniper rifle. Stand on the head and shoot them. Pew! Yeah, there was one in S Plus, but nobody's making S Plus right now.
Blink rifle will do. Yeah, we've seen the outcomes of that on the public server.
It does. Okay, yeah. So, well, if and when time or resource is available, or a mod is available to slaughter your dinos, by all means, it's a given. Yeah, we'll put that in. What I really want to do is be able to cryopod a dino, stuff it in a grinder, and then get an output from that dino. That would be cool. Yeah, like a cheap grinder. Well, it would be just a grinder of everything. Yeah, you've got to work up to that.
Have you seen the tech binoculars, by the way? They're awful.
The SS guy is working on it. I can confirm that. He's got a staged approach whereby the first thing he's going to do is the pull system, then the tools, and then look at the structures. As for it's not ready yet at all, Panda. He's barely started work on it. the tool, the propagator and stuff like that, that's unique to S Plus, and it's one of a kind. There was nothing else in the game that would do that. He put a ton of work into it, and nobody else has replicated it because it's when you're modding stuff like that, it's super fraught with danger. Because you fuck up people's tames, they get mad. So a modder is taking his life into his hands when he starts messing with breeding and taming and cloning and stuff like that. Because the way cryopods work and soul traps work is they destroy your dino, they store the data, and then they respawn it. If that data is not stored properly or something's missing or it goes wrong, we see all the issues that we've been seeing, like mating timers, neutering, harvesting levels disappearing, all that kind of stuff. So yes, cryopods will definitely be coming. I'm guessing no one's got objections to a pull system.
Do we need one? Has anyone got to tech level yet and actually seen the Daddy storage and the pull system there?
Yeah. Hang on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's built into the game already, and you've got to get to tech level though to be able to utilize it. What we need to do is try it and see if it meets the requirements.
We'll have to put up some sort of test system on dev, but I've seen
Yeah.
videos of people doing it now. If you've got the Tech Daddy storages, you can absolutely go to a workbench and just go make, and it pulls from Daddy.
Yeah. Wireless crafting.
Yeah.
But again, that's something that it's a feature and it's something you have to work for. We've got to be careful not to wreck the game progression by putting stuff in that we think we need when it's actually a mechanic of the game that you have to unlock.
Tech
Yeah, got
does
to beat
have
the buses.
Bluetooth now, yeah, and DAB radio.
I pimped mine. I've put an SD card in it and loaded it up with a shitload of movies too. Oh yes, the teleporters have changed too.
It was a joke, Lottie. Or, and here's a thought, instead of the Daddy storage intake, design your base around a drop-off area with Daddy storage.
You just run around mashing E or whatever.
I still think that ring system we had or have on the CI base is absolutely excellent.
Yeah, we built rings of concentric half rings or three-quarter rings of dedicated storage in walls about 2 or 3 high.
Yeah.
And you just run around the room and drop your shit off. Organized into various sections. Well, I want to build a box and I just want to pile it all in the corner and forget about it.
But yeah, I agree. Cryopods would be a great start because they give us so many options of things and make life easier. And there's a trade-off for it.
So yeah, we will be on with that. Is there anything else that we need to chat about? Because both me and Nani have got stuff that we want to get cracking with.
Have we missed anything? The small wins thing is never going to go away, is it? Will the nanny ever come back? Who knows?
Infinite grappling hooks as a mod. I'd use a pterodon myself. What would you use your metal on if you didn't make grappling hooks?
Tech cookers.
Yeah.
64 industrial cookers to craft it.
Forges, not cookers.
Yeah.
A magic grapple. Well, I can see the 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 case for it. You fire your grapple, and it's attached to a line. Obviously, it hooks into the rock face, and when you want to pull it back, it's so advanced. You push a little button on your crossbow, that sends a message down to the grappling hook, which then folds its hooks back in and maybe fires some like little explosive bolts to fire it out the wall, and then you can reel it back in again.
I think our original argument for the reusable grappling hooks was because why can't you just pull the thing out of the roof? It would be really nice if we could get them like where you would use them up occasionally. Maybe occasionally it would get stuck and you couldn't get it back. That would be nice, but not doable.
It's yeah, I was thinking about that too, and then I thought, holy shit! If you fire this thing into a rock face and it's embedded in the rock with these three metal pointy prongs that are facing backwards on themselves, how the hell are you going to pull that out?
Durability on grapples.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a good idea.
durability.
Or bigger durability while you're using it on your bow because of the strain would be really cool. But again, we're hypothesizing things that don't exist right now. Cool idea though.
Well, imprinting being a bit easier is one of the benefits of cryopods, isn't it? You can pause the
Yeah,
imprint and change your imprint.
I'm all for doing that with cryopods rather than changing dinosaur imprinting because that's a pain in the backside to do. It has to be and has knock-on effects. Whereas with the cryopods, you have the option to just cryo them, come back when you can actually do it, leave them out for a bit, cryo them again, and you're paying for that with growth and time. So that's something that will get fixed with the cryopods. How long till they come? That's a good question. It theoretically shouldn't be that long now. There's, as said earlier, a couple of bugs left to fix, and then the only problem is when Wildcard fixed the transfer bug that could vaporize a cryo dino.
I would re-listen to the first part of the round table where we go into detail about what's up with cryopods and inventory management before clamoring to have cryopods on the server.
Yeah, we want them. They will be here as fast as possible,
Yeah.
but there's pros and cons right now.
The con being you lose your dino. The pro being you get to put it in a nice little box.
Yeah. And especially with us having no tools on ASA to recover things like that anymore, I'm guessing people don't want to lose them. So we should be as safe as we can. Throwing out eggs causes crashes.
Well, don't throw out eggs then if that's the case.
You mean client crashes are we
Say
talking now?
fixed.
These are client crashes we're talking about, yeah? Yeah, okay. Remember not to throw out so many eggs. Bueller, throw the eggs out.
I wonder if increasing the stack sizes makes it worse.
Yeah, that's another point.
Who knows? Um,
Only affects when in a folder.
well, glad
The,
you've spotted that.
the obvious thing here is don't use folders.
for the time being. But anyway, you get the idea. There's plenty of issues that need to be addressed before you
Yeah,
feel safe putting your prized bred dinosaur into a box.
yeah. I think the biggest downfall at the moment is the fact that you can sell a dino neutered and then the player uncryos it and it's not neutered anymore. That will kill the economy. Disappearing
Because
harvesting levels on ferries is not good.
so it's like yeah, put unwanted dinos in a cryo and grind them.
Does anybody have a grinder yet?
I'm sure there are.
Has anyone done any bosses yet?
No, because we want the video.
Just caves.
I want to go in that cave off of the west coast of the island, the underwater one, that then comes up and there's like a sandy beach and you walk in and then walk around the water. And sometimes there's like a fucking hell, my brain has just gone. Big fish, bigger than a megalodon.
Speaking of economies, a plant in the medium term to implement the Fed shards. Yes, and the shop.
Yeah, plan to do all this cool stuff.
We are
Ooh, that looks cool.
we're awaiting the
So
final version of the API. Once that's done, the plugins can be worked on because the plugins sit on top of the API to interface with the game. So as soon as that's done, the popular plugins will start to be written, and that stuff will come. Yes.
have you noticed in Bob's picture in that grinder, it looks like he's thrown a person in the top of the grinder. Shoot, there's just this silhouette
It
of a
looks like
man's
a
head and
head and
shoulders.
shoulders. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What I am noticing there, and I noticed it in quite a few bases that I've had a look at. Look at all the technology they've got there. They haven't even got a
Yeah,
wall. I mean, come on, guys. You've got an industrial furnace
there's a
there,
wall.
and you've got a grinder. And is that a window at the back? Is that glass, or is just a missing wall?
No, there's a full wall there and a giant dino door.
Behind the Magatherium, there's like the big opening.
Yeah,
Is that actually a
yeah.
wall, or is it just a picture as
Click
I'm
on.
looking at it?
I'll click on it. You'll see there's a big wall
Ah,
behind it.
okay. It's on my second screen. I can't see the back portion there. There is a wall. I will forgive you.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. We walk around and there's like what somebody classifies as a base is like a 6x6 foundation block on the floor, and all these dinos just sitting out there. Like half a dozen dinos out there. All the boxes are out in the open. All the machines are out in the open, and there's a person lying on the floor. I mean, if they don't die of exposure, something's going to come along and eat it all.
Yeah.
It's just like, come on, survival game. It's more difficult than ASE. You may want to think about protecting yourself. There is no offline protection against wild dinos.
Well, there
They'll
is.
come along
It's
and they
called a
will go.
wall.
Yeah.
It comes with
And a
an
door.
extra added security feature called a roof. Has anyone seen any Titanos recently? Have we got that nailed now? Titanos are still around.
Yeah, last night there was one. Oh, you saw one 10 minutes ago?
Buggeration. That's no good with 30 minutes. They've seen one 10 minutes ago, Bob. Get up with the times, man.
I'll have to check the dev kit then and see what the path is, but that was the one that was
That's going to be interesting.
supposedly
Does that
pulled
mean
from the
you've got to
game.
have 2 dev kits installed now?
I
With
do
4
have 2
copies of
dev
Arc?
kits installed. Yes, I do. Hang on. I will post a picture of my drive space. Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Wow. So what we're saying there is keep supporting DJ needs a new drive. At that rate, you're going to get to the point the mod doesn't fit on the drive.
Uh-huh. It's not as bad as it looks. I have 10% on top of that reserved for the drive
So it
usage.
looks pretty bad.
So there's actually another 10% free space you can't see on there.
It's invisible.
There's no hoarding involved. That's just stuff I
That's
use day
dev
to
kits and
day.
ARG.
Oh, that's 3 terabytes of storage there. Yep.
Wow, Lottie. Okay, that's cool. Definitely got ARC on those drives.
Lottie is organized. Dr. Smiley is like, yeah, fuck it. When this one fills up, I'll move on to the next one.
I laugh, but my drives exploded about a month and a half ago. It's getting serious.
Anyway, we're just about to hit the hour mark. I think we wrap this up.
Yes, I think we should.
Move on with our lives.
I have to process all this stuff. Right, in that case, we will sign off for the night. With the usual, we have been the Wicked Ninjas, and you have always been awesome. Thank you very much. And we'll update you again shortly when we've got something to say, I think. Good night.